more difficult and makes it more complex than us having a chance to get everything together and put out factual information. So at this time, I'm going to ask Lieutenant Paul Dean, who is in charge of the investigation and has supervised the entire deal, to come forward and give you some of the statistics and some of the in-depth facts about this investigation.
All right. Again, I appreciate all y'all coming today. I know it was kind of a short notice thing. You know, some of you I didn't talk to till late yesterday afternoon, but I appreciate y'all being here. Like the chief said, this case, well, one case broke a multitude of cases, and the police department is pleased to announce the closure of numerous cases. And when I say cases, I'm talking about property crimes that date back as far as July of 2011. The most recent crime that's been solved as a result of this was reported in June of this year. So these crimes have spanned over a long period of time. We also recovered property during this investigation from 4 crimes that had not even been reported. We started finding some properties that were recognized and we had gotten some information on, so we contacted those people and had them actually come in and do official reports so that charges could be filed on those 4 cases as well. To get to the meat of this, the investigation got its kickstart on September the 9th, which was Tuesday, or Monday afternoon, when a local citizen was out doing his job and happened to be in a neighborhood and rode by a residence located at 300 Camellia Avenue here in Andalusia, and he noticed a 4-wheeler. This particular citizen had filed a report on his kid's 4-wheeler, children's 4-wheeler being stolen back in August of 2012. He thought, because of some of the unique markings on the ATV, that it might be the one that he had reported stolen. So he turned around and took a second look and was just more convinced that it was his. At that point, he contacted the police department, gave us the information. I pulled the report, and myself, along with Sergeant Jason Curry, went over to the residence, made contact with the occupant there, and he granted us consent to inspect the serial number, or the VIN number. And in fact, it did match. While we were there, we were going to take him in, we were going to get him to come up here so we could interview him about the ATV, and he wanted to change his clothes. So I escorted him inside. During that time, I noticed a few items around in the residence, but nothing of significance. After we had exited out of the residence, I received a call back from the same citizen, and I'll identify him a little bit later. That citizen had talked to another friend of his who actually was building a house on Camellia Avenue some time back, and he had property that came up missing from that new construction. Well, when he started describing some of the items to me, I had seen a squirrel cage fan sitting in the hallway of this residence that sounded real similar to the one that the victim was missing from the construction site. We also saw several items in the around the residence, on the outside of the residence, that just didn't quite make sense. Most people don't have 4 chainsaws and 5 weed eaters, and things just weren't adding up. So I contacted Sergeant Jody Scott, Sergeant Roger Sender, got them to come over, bring some reports that they had on stolen property, and we were able to match up a couple of serial numbers on some of the lawn care items that were there outside the residence. At that point, we stopped and we obtained a search warrant for the entire residence. It was at that point that this thing began to get even bigger. Once we got inside the residence, we found all kinds of items that were stolen. Some of those items included, of course, the child's ATV, a boat, weed eaters, chainsaws, a lawnmower, household furniture, floor covering, ceiling fans, lamps, tables, outdoor swings, porch swings. We even located a batting cage, which is something else that's kind of unique. Most people don't have a batting cage in their backyard. As it stands right now, I would say about 90% of the property that we have taken into custody, we know who the owners are. We're in the process of all of those owners have been contacted, and what we've got to do now is just sift through the property, make sure that we've got we're just going to separate it out in piles by ownership. And like I told the chief, whenever I do a little mechanic work, once we get through doing the piles, we'll see how many parts we got left. At that point, we will go in and look at our reports, do a search on those particular type items in our reports. And then once if we have any of that kind of stuff in our reports, then we'll contact those victims and see if we can get the property identified. If not, then we'll be in touch with the surrounding agencies to see if they're missing any of that type property. This thing got so big so quick. Word got out that we had recovered a lot of stolen property, and we were flooded with calls from all over the county. People, hopeful that we had some of their property, and it kind of stalled the investigation. That's one reason why we were a couple days late on the press conference, is because we were just fielding so many calls while trying to get all this stuff put together. So we appreciate everybody's patience. I will say this, the investigation is long from over. We completed a secondary search of another location yesterday and recovered a couple of more items that we believe are possibly stolen. I've been in contact with the local sheriff's department because I received a call from a citizen about a three-wheeler. I believe that three-wheeler is possibly still at the residence. I talked with the investigator this morning. That still has not been confirmed, but very likely could be, property from some of the counties' instance they've had or other jurisdictions. And like I said, once we get to a point, we're gonna make sure that we don't have any more property missing or any more property that we can identify. And once our citizens are taken care of, then we're gonna start expanding out to other jurisdictions and just keep going out and out and out till we hopefully get all this property, back in the hands of the rightful owners. Want to give a big thank you out to, I kept referring to a citizen. I don't think he'll mind if I identify him. His name's Greg Palmer. He's pretty well known around this area. He's like me. He's been here all his life. And without his help and without his, he pays attention when he's out and about different places. He pays a lot of attention, and by having that keen awareness while he was out and about on Monday afternoon, that's what broke this case. And we're most definitely going to give credit where credit's due, and we appreciate all his help and his, like I say, we appreciate him being, just having that keen awareness. He spotted it. He immediately contacted us, and three of those 4 cases that that I talked about earlier that had not even been reported, he was very helpful in getting those victims identified, getting in contact with them, and getting them to the police department to file an actual police report so that we could continue on with their investigation. So, like I said, we want to give a big thanks to him for his help, because, like I said, without it, we wouldn't be standing here having this press conference right now. I'd also like to take this time to publicly commend Sergeant Curry, Sergeant Scott, and Sergeant Sender. They have worked real hard over the last few days. We've had some late nights trying to get all this stuff together, and they've stuck right in there with it, and that's just it shows their dedication to their service of the community, and the level of professionalism that they carry every day in doing their job. They want to make sure they do it right, and for that I'm thankful. Now, I want to announce the person arrested in this case is identified as Terry Lee German. He is 40 years of age, from here in Andalusia, and he is charged with the following charges: burglary in the 3rd degree, 11 counts; breaking and entering a motor vehicle, 1 count; theft of property in the 1st degree, 6 counts; theft of property in the 2nd degree, 5 counts; theft of property in the 3rd degree, 4 counts. That is a total of 27 charges, and currently his bond stands at $342,000. As I said earlier, this investigation continues. More charges could come against Mr. German as things start to unfold further. Also, during this investigation, we have determined that Mr. German did not act alone. At this time, I'm not going to release any further information concerning any other suspects in this matter, but I will say that we expect more arrests to come in the very near future. To give you a kind of a geographical layout of where these crimes occurred, crimes were reported on Camellia Avenue, Lakeview Drive, Sanford Road, Thames Street, Adams Avenue, Lakeland Drive, First Avenue near the high school, 2nd Avenue near the high school, South Cotton Street, and Easley Drive. For those of you familiar with this area, the majority of these locations are pretty close to each other, reasonably close to each other. There was very little that went on the outskirts of a couple of different neighborhoods. But of course, like I said, if the county investigators determine that this three-wheeler that we're looking at is in fact one of theirs, then it'll expand out to the Babby community. I believe that victim lives somewhere in between here and Opp anyway. So like I said, at this point, this is what we know. Like I said, we're still looking at a lot of different things. It could get even bigger. I'll take a few questions from everybody. And
was this a burglary ring, or I know you can't mention the individuals, possible persons of interest, but were they fencing this stuff? They've been holding it for 2 years. What was Mr. German's motivation, I guess?
Well, if you remember, some of the items I mentioned were household furniture. When I say household furniture, a sectional, a coffee table, curtains, interior doors, a kitchen island. He was outfitting his residence, doing some upgrades. Yes, ma'am.
About how much money? I mean, it seems like some pretty big items. About how much money do you think an estimate for?
I haven't. To be honest with you, I haven't sat down with the actual reports and added it up, but it's going to be in the thousands of dollars of inventory that we have that we've seized at this point.
Okay, and how many total victims do we have so far?
I believe I figured it up the other day. We had 16 different victims. One we are still we haven't been able to make contact with. He does not live in this area, and one victim chose not to prosecute.
And do you believe that there could be more added to those 16? There be more than
More
16?
victims?
Yes.
Yes.
Or there will be?
I expect that there could be, simply because of like the three-wheeler. If it's confirmed that this is the three-wheeler from out in the county, then that would be another victim of this suspect. So it would not surprise me if the number in victims did not go up.
What was the same MO? How was he breaking in? Was he breaking in, or can you describe, was it all the same similar way of the items being taken from these 16 victims? In other words, did he kick in a door? Did he, just if you can kind of just shed some light on how?
Okay. Pretty much any way you could think of. There were doors that were kicked in. There were vehicle burglary. The vehicle was left unsecured, so it just opened the door. Some of the thefts, if you sit down and you start comparing burglaries and you say, okay, well, you got 11 burglaries and one B&E of a motor vehicle, but you got all these extra thefts that, you know, where do they fit? Well, we had some thefts that were just that, they just theft from a yard. There was, most of it was done during daytime hours when the homeowners were away at work. I think was there a question in the back?
Yeah. Lieutenant Dean, on the charges, you listed, you got burglary third on 11 counts. And there's no burglary, say, one, so none of these residents were occupied, or did he actually make it into residences?
Yes, he went into residences, but none of them were occupied at the time of the burglary. Like I said, the homeowners were away. Normally what this guy would do, from what we understand, is maybe he would show up at your house, you know, mid-morning. He would knock on the door, wait to see if he got an answer. If there was no answer, then he may grab something off the carport. He may go down to the back and forcibly enter the residence and take items. But that was kind of the MO, as you described, Mike. You know, just go up, knock on the door, see if anybody was at home. If they were, he might have a lawnmower on a trailer behind his truck and inquire about yard service, things like that. So he had a cover story in case the homeowner was at home. But if not, then they obviously were added to the list of victims.
Does Mr. Jernigan have any prior with this department or any other agency in the area?
Mr. German, no, he has, to my knowledge, he does not have a criminal record.
So he's at 300 Camellia, that was his home? Or that was?
That's where he was living,
That's
yes.
where he was living.
Yes.
At his home on Camellia, was anyone residing with him?
No. No, he was living there by himself.
And on the amount of items taken, have you determined why he chose the homes that he chose? Had he been there, say, in the past under a previous employer possibly?
That we have, he was working with a local business, and I don't want to identify that business, but he was working with a local business that would afford him an opportunity to be at someone's residence and scope it out, and that is a very good possibility. Of course, he denied doing that, but that you got to look at what would put him in different areas, and most certainly that job would have done that. I will say the Green Acres area of Andalusia, which includes Adams Avenue's on the outskirts of Green Acres, but Lakeland Drive, some other burglaries that we are looking at that he possibly could have been involved in. He's been living on the Camellia Avenue, or at the Camellia Avenue address since I believe it was May of this year. Just prior to that, he lived in the Green Acres area, and we have determined that several of these victims were either current or former neighbors of Mr. German.
And have you had any other contact with Mr. German prior to this at a local pawn shop where he was attempting to unload some items that were possibly taken from a residence?
This is not the first time that I have had a conversation with Mr. German, but this is the first time that I had a victim, or that we have had victims that were willing to press forward and pursue prosecution.
Chief, can I get you to maybe stand up there? I just want to get asked you a question.
Yeah, there is one comment I'd like to make. We wanted to touch on it. Those of you that are aware that we have just released our Crime in Andalusia report just a couple of weeks ago. The newspaper covered it. And burglary is always one of the issues that comes up that's big in the community. And we reported that we had experienced an increase in the number of burglaries in 2012. I think it was up 11 from 2011. So this is one of those things where we understand things are going to happen. Crime is going to occur. There's no agency in this world that can prevent all crime from occurring. But the measure and the gauge that we judge our performance by is not that we can't prevent every crime from happening, is I want to be judged, and I want this department to be judged by what we do after it happens. And I think this particular incident is an excellent example of the leadership of Lieutenant Dean and investigators in criminal investigation that has brought about the clearance of all these. If we go back and add these clearances to our incidents that occurred in 2012 and the clearance of these cases, this will bring our clearance rate to the highest level in the 39 cities of Alabama that are our comparable size. And that's extraordinary. We judge ourselves by those 39 communities. We can't be judged against Mobile, Birmingham, or Montgomery, but the 39 cities that comprise those cities between 5,000 and 10,000 population is where we compare ourselves. And with these statistics, it puts us at the highest level in that category of town. So I'm extremely happy. I'm extremely proud of the job that Lieutenant Dean has done. And once again, and I wanted to afford him the opportunity to identify Mr. Palmer, but this is a perfect example of what we ask the citizens to do, to be aware. This would have been a perfect example if Mr. Palmer had used the police department app. He could have reported it on the computer, but because of his relationship with the officers, he has the personal numbers and he was able to contact. So with community, this is a total package. It shows us exactly what can happen when the community works with the police department and when the police department works with the community. So I did want to add that and fill in that blank, because these numbers put into place with the crime in Andalusia would then report and show that our efforts in 2012 were again at the head or leading the state average in cities our size.
How about outside Covington County? You think other agencies or other communities, maybe in surrounding counties?
Don't have anything that really points to that right now. This is basically it's inside the city, and Paul mentioned the number of calls that we were inundated with people searching desperately to recover their property, and it seems that it is basically in the city. There are a couple, as Paul identified, things that happen outside that we will certainly be pursuing, but it looks like a local problem, which is pretty much consistent with the burglary problem in this country. And people can see when they say, oh, we had this increase in burglary, and the coffee shop talk and some of the other avenues of shedding light on stories indicates, oh, we got a crime wave. Well, we didn't have a crime wave. We had one and possibly two people that were out here committing burglary. So it all fits into what most everybody experiences around the country. And like I said, without the call from Mr. Palmer, this situation would not have been revealed. So, Greg, we appreciate what interest you put into it and the effort you put into it, and especially helping us locate the additional victims of the other crimes. So we appreciate what you did.
Chief, if you'll speak just a little bit on the importance of people who are victimized, whether it's burglary or theft, to make a report, because I think some of the victims here may have not even reported their burglary or theft until they heard that there had possibly been a break in some of these cases. How important is it for the citizens to actually file that report and get it on file with your office?
Well, it's absolutely crucial for us and for if they ever hope to get any of this back, and I'm sure that there are a number of reasons why people don't choose to report crimes when they occur, and you can always say, well, they don't think they're going to get anything back. Well, let this be a perfect example. Yes, sometimes we do get your property back, and we're certainly glad when that happens, but the more specific you can be, serial numbers, accurate descriptions, that not just a flat screen TV, what size flat screen TV, what make is it, what model is it, and the serial number. You cannot under-report or underestimate how important that information is, because, luckily so far, most everybody's been able to look at it and say, that's mine, that's mine, that's mine. but in some instances without serial numbers, without an adequate description, put a mark on it, engrave your driver's license number, your social security number, just anything that's unique to you certainly helps us, and once we recover this property, it makes the process of getting it back to the rightful owner much easier.
Hey, Chief, do you mind if Greg stands up there? We got-
No, come on.
Actually, I was
Oh, sorry.
gonna get him up
Okay,
here.
I was assuming it was.
It's not very often that y'all get to talk to us.
Greg Palmer was the one that helped break this, so like I said, we're certainly appreciative and want to thank him again publicly for, and he's unusual because he allows us to identify him publicly. There are so many people that will say, I don't want my name or face out there, but Greg, we appreciate what you did.
Like I said, this is, like Chief said, this is a unique opportunity for y'all to actually get to put a face with that victim. I appreciate Greg having being willing to stand up here and let y'all get a view from the victim's perspective.
Mr. Palmer, if you can, just tell us, what was your initial thoughts when you realized that, was it your son stole any TV?
It was my kids. I got 3 kids, and well,
What did it make you just kind of give us your reaction when you first realized, oh man, that's my problem?
well, I've had several burglaries over the past years, and when I passed by and seen the 4-wheeler, I turned around and went back to identify it, and that's when I called Paul and the police department, the guys up at the police department, let them know that I thought I had located it. So I went on back to work. In about 20 minutes, they called me and said to come pick up your 4-wheeler. We've identified it. So on the way over there, I talked to another guy, and he had told me what he was missing. So, yeah, it made me pretty irate with the guy because I knew him, and he had been to my house before. And I would be at my home on a Friday after lunch, and he'd knock on the door and ask me, hey, man, can I cut your grass? And I knew him from past years. And when I went into the residence when I picked up my 4-wheeler to identify, I had also had a TV stolen. He stole from me 4 different times, maybe 5 different times, but I can't find the other stuff he stole, so I'm not going to say it was him. But I know of 3 or 4 different times that my stuff has been located at this residence. I've been missing stuff for over 5 years ago. I never filed a report on, but it was in his house, in his living room, when I went in to identify my other belongings. And I know it's mine because it's got my name wrote on it.
Was he a friend, or what kind of association?
He was I just knew him by small town, everybody, and he's bought stuff from me in the past and didn't pay me, so I had to go back and get it, and that's.
Did he come back and get it?
And he come back and got stuff, and I guess that, and didn't want to pay for it again.
Is there anything that you or your family did, after you all saw that you all were getting burglarized, to ensure y'all's safety?
I put up cameras at my house, and that way I could, and I spooked him off once again after that. He had told me that he came back but seen the cameras and left, and this was 2 weeks ago. But we did put up the cameras and the alarm system and all that stuff we're looking to get in the near future, but the cameras has got him slowed down, or got it slowed down now. But I just kept, every time I'd think about it, I'd put it on Facebook. I put a reward out, $500 to anybody. I don't want the 4-wheeler back. I want to know who took it, because it's my kids' stuff, and I've missing stuff that's been taken that I haven't been able to get back that belongs to them also. But as long as I get, who did and who's doing the burglaries, nobody else will be victimized like we all were.
Was he brazen at your house as far as just coming
He
in, or?
he had to be. He knew. Everybody knows where I work in my hours. If I'm at work, he can pass by. I've seen him pass by in the daytime. Now that I know who it is, I've seen him pass by my shop, and I've seen him looking into the shop, and he'd go on by. I guess that was to find out exactly where I was at, to go to my house and know that my wife works and I work also. Well, they mentioned the boat that got stolen. It was a guy that works with us. He works there at the shop with us, and his boat was taken while he was at work. They cut a lock in the gate on the chain and took his property.
So do you think he just targeted you, knowing that
I guess so. I mean,
easy
I
to
guess
work?
I'm at work, and he knows I own stuff, that it's be easy taken, until recently when he seen the cameras when there was spin marks where he spun out of my front yard trying to get away after. And I called the investigators out when I found that. I didn't find anything missing, but I wanted them to know that somebody had been back. So they took pictures, the Jody Scott, the investigator, he took pictures of the tracks and of the tire tracks of the vehicle. I don't know if they match his or not, but he did tell me he came back to get another item that was sitting in my yard, a jet ski, and didn't get it because he seen the cameras.